All right, so we're going to be talking about how to set your pricing today. So be sure to stay tuned. This is a really tough topic. Everyone has trouble with this. I think I can really put your mind at ease just by following a couple little points. So stay tuned, and we are going to have an entire pricing weekend too. So tomorrow I'm going to be going over how to raise your prices. So be sure to stay tuned for that and keep a watch out for that. So the first point I want to cover is what not to do. So one of the first things I see that always gets brought up when this subject comes up is cost of doing business. And you should get in there and go ahead and calculate that. But for me, I find the cost of doing business to be almost an absolutely useless metric. And just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, my cost of doing business is about, I'd say, $75 per shoot. But I just don't really see what that number does for me at all. Like, I'm not gonna use that number in any way whatsoever. So I'm never gonna do a shoot for $70 anyway, or below my cost of doing business. But for me, the most important point is just how to charge the maximum amount possible that I can get out of my market, right? This is true for anybody. This is true for a guy working 9 to 5. How can he make the most money per hour, right? This is true for anybody. This is true for us. So we really don't want to concentrate on cost of doing business. I think that's lowering the bar. We want to raise the bar a little bit from that, all right? We don't want to think about this number that has to do with, what's the least amount we could possibly work for? We want to kind of raise the bar a little bit from there, all right? So, okay, we've gotten to this spot now where in our heads, the cost of doing business means nothing. And what we're really thinking about is how much is the maximum I can make per shoot. I mean, that's the real number you should have in your head, the goal number. But how are we going to arrive at that number? So that's the real question. So the first place everyone's going to start out is their competitors' websites. I know it might seem like, everyone already knows this, but it's true. Check out your competitors' websites. You're gonna have a good idea if you spend like a half a day on this and you maybe make out an Excel spreadsheet and just spend some time and check out what people are charging in your same market, and also just how their quality is looking compared to yours, and be honest with yourself. So at the end of that whole process, when you spend half a day checking out what everyone's charging, you're gonna have a pretty good idea of where you should be. So finding that price isn't even the tough part. The tough part's gonna be going out and making connections with potential clients. But at this point, when you do that, you're gonna at least be meeting these clients, and you're gonna be spitting out a number to them that they know and you know is reasonable. So you're gonna be very confident approaching them and talking to them about your pricing. And I think that's really the most important part of it all at this point for you, because you just want to be confident in your head when you spit out that number, because you don't want to have any misgivings about your pricing. That'll show. It's just like anything. When you're talking to somebody and you're not confident, it'll show, whether you know it or not. So I want to draw an analogy here because I think it's just perfect. If you have like an axe or a knife and you've really messed up the axe and you need to sharpen it, like you hit a rock with your axe or something, the first thing you're gonna do is kind of grind down the edge with a really coarse tool, right? And the second thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take a really fine tool and kind of sharpen that blade. You're gonna refine it. And that's exactly how you should think about your pricing. Don't worry about that first price you come up with. Everyone's gonna be imperfect at that point. And the most important point you gotta keep in mind is it's okay to mess up. It's okay to not be that perfect price point. Oh, am I too high? Am I too low? Don't worry about that. Just get it out of your head. The most important point is just getting that price, okay? Just being in the ballpark. Just think about it like the knife. We don't have to be perfect right from the start. Pricing really isn't an overnight thing where you can just come up with the perfect price, okay? It's really kind of a process. So you're gonna have your price you start off with. You're gonna be confident with that. But you're gonna start getting calls over the next 6 months, over the next year. And to use me as an example, like lately, I've been getting almost all my calls. People call me and they book. A year ago, people call me and maybe 40%, 50% are balking on the price. So you wanna pay really close attention to these calls you get, especially from first-time clients. Are half of them saying that your pricing is too high and they're balking at your price? I think that's a good indication you're a little too high or a lot too high. But if almost everyone's accepting your price and you're not getting any feedback on it, like I am personally right now, it might be time to even bump up your price a little bit. But at the very least, you're at a good point. Set your price, don't worry about it too much. It's kind of like the dull edge on that knife. You're not gonna be able to get it perfect like that, right? And then just mentally gather the data from there. Just be really conscious of the interactions you have with your clients and just what they want and what price point they're balking at and all that data. Just mentally gather that, or you can make a spreadsheet if you're more scientific about it. And from there, the rest should be really self-explanatory, right? You're just kind of getting at that nice point. You're getting this data from people that are calling in. If too many of them are saying the price is too high, you probably are a little bit too high. If you're like where I'm at right now, maybe you're a little bit underpriced, okay? And you might have to make a little adjustment, and the new year is a great time to do that. So don't forget, one last reminder, this is pricing weekend. We're gonna talk about how to raise your prices tomorrow, so tune in for that one.